Ready. Play.
And then we also have Munich, which, well, the field at the start of the week definitely weaker, but now that we see the semis, I think just as watchable, really. And the first one will be Cerundolo against Ben Shelton. So Ben has had a very tough introduction to this clay season, to this week, because of the 3 match points he had to save against Bornagoyo. At least one of them was super winnable from the crowd's perspective. And I think I read a quote from Ben after that match where he said that, like, this could really be the kind of win that gets your clay season going. And I remember being a little like, the way you played, Ben, it was just more of that same, Ben Shelton who doesn't trust his baseline game whatsoever. And he basically starts playing like vintage serve and volley tennis on clay. And yeah, I mean, I don't think he did much right against Goyo in that match. I think it was a win that he got really on pure grit and the lack of grit from the other player. And then, yeah, he still actually turns it into the semi, and I guess makes that quote of his look better in hindsight.
Yeah, that's interesting because I did kind of think when I saw that I'm like, oh, you do get involved in these lottery matches quite a lot. So, it's not like, the chances are that low of you getting into one the next round. But good for him for winning this one 4-3 and actually like, playing a bit more, yeah, with a little bit more margin, I guess you could say, definitely like after a win like that, you do end up feeling just way more confident. You're playing like with house money to a certain extent. So I get that feeling. I read that he's like the first American to make like a 500 semifinal on clay, but then I realized there aren't that many 500s on clay.
Exactly, like
You've
Fritz, for
only been
example, was
keeping,
the runner-up in Munich last year, but
yeah,
wasn't a 500 yet. But
and
if it
you've only
was,
been keeping track since 2009, I guess, right? Because before that it was, they were called different things. So
yes. So it's not as big a stat
yeah,
as it might seem. I mean, that's only
okay.
Hamburg where Americans just don't show up whatsoever, and Barcelona where, again, I guess Americans never really played it. So, but actually, even in Munich, I know there was a big gap. I think in terms of like quarter finalists before Giron and Fritz in 2023, the most recent one was like 98 or something like that. So, yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
Americans just never really played these events. It's
Yeah.
kind of shifting. I mean, Taylor, Tommy, obviously they're very strong. Tommy made an ATP 1000 semi last year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was not really expecting Ben to be so clean in his last 2 matches after the struggle against Goyo, beating Van Zandschulp and Darderi. Like, this is definitely a win. I'm not really sure yet if he's like really upped his game or like changed anything about it to get there. I obviously think he can be a fine clay player, even playing this style that he has right now, even if sometimes it's going to lead to more lotteries. But yeah, I mean, tomorrow will maybe tell us a lot because the opponent he's facing, yeah, I mean, you don't really get to be much more informed than Francisco Cerundolo right now. It's only these 2 sets that he played against Carlos in Monte Carlo last week. Like, otherwise, he's been pretty much spotless for the last 2 months, and the most consistent he's ever been.
Yeah, this is the most consistent spell of like 6 weeks of tennis I've seen from Francisco Cerundolo, like first ball to last in like Indian Wells, Miami. This, even Monte Carlo, obviously the draw, but like no, the last 2 sets of that notwithstanding, like he has to be the favorite going in against Shelton, just based on form and just the opportunity and just knowing that Ben is going to be a little bit more erratic than him. So I lean that way, but of course Shelton is capable of some magic, and he can get it to the breakers. He can get in deep into the sets, and he'll always have a chance.
Yeah, only one meeting between the two last year. Indian Wells 7-6
7-6
in
in
the
the
third,
third for Ben. Yeah,
precisely. And Indian Wells, as we know, pretty similar conditions to clay in many ways. So it's not something that is really like just we cannot just forget about this match. It's actually somewhat relevant. Yeah, Cerundolo is priced as a big favorite. I see, maybe even a little too big for my taste because, as you said, Ben can just keep any match close, really. But yeah, Fran is the player in form. I know that he lost to Carlos, obviously, in Monte Carlo, so it wasn't like the draw helped him out or Basically, it's not like you can expect him to beat Alcaraz, at least not most of the time. But the way he collapsed in the last two sets, like it's really just one stain on his records from the past 2 months.
Yeah.
It's not the first time it's happened to him. Of course, we've all seen him produce performances like this. They just haven't happened recently. At least it happened against a very strong player, obviously. So yeah, so far with how he's been playing this week, it's tough for me to say that he wouldn't be the favorite here against Shelton, considering all we know about their clay games. It's at least a little bit faster in Munich this year than last year when it was snowing. It was like 3 Celsius. So obviously that is also pretty nice for Ben. Then again, against Borna, it kind of made it impossible to break for him. So I guess it depends on the matchup. Here, of course, the Cerundolo serve, it's not really a big weapon. It's something he just rolls into play. He has like the top 3 first serve in percentage, I think.
Yeah.
And that, unless you're
A point
Alexander
starter,
Zverev, that doesn't
basically.
mean your serve is good.
Yeah, essentially a point starter, and then look for the forehand.
Yeah, so on clay, that's obviously fine. A lot more than on other surfaces. Is it going to be an issue against Ben? Knowing what we know about the return game of Ben, I would probably say no. So still on
Yeah.
Shelton. Like the pressure is on Shelton to keep it up on serve more than Fran, maybe. But yeah, should be a fun match nonetheless. The number 2 seed has made
Yeah, I
it,
did have a
even though
question
at
for you
some
about
point
Fran.
they
Do you
did.
do you feel like he's better on European clay than South American clay? Um,
Fran?
yeah,
Hmm.
is it just that he feels maybe more pressure during that time of the year, golden swing, like expectations maybe from the outside or from within himself to like perform? Because I
Interesting.
kind
I
of
mean,
see some of those like like the last 2 sets against Carlos, some more of that during the golden swing than I do outside of it.
hmm. I think he definitely felt pressure in Buenos Aires, the 2 finals
Yeah.
he made. Like that's clear. I guess I still need like a little more body of work, maybe in ATP
Probably.
1000s.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, Roland Garros, the fact that he was able to play this well for 2 consecutive years, make back-to-back fourth rounds, I think that's an amazing achievement. It's not
Mhm.
something that is gonna like go down in history books, but from a player who's like consistently very erratic,
Yeah.
that was actually impressive that he was able to do it. I think we've said also before that the best of 5 format kind of suits him because he can just like throw away a set and
Mm.
nothing happens. Yeah, maybe we've seen more mentally unstable performances from him in the Golden Swing. I don't hate that theory. I'd like to see a little more maybe in the 1000s on clay in Europe. Although even in the July swing, he's been good, I
He's
guess.
been good there, right?
Hamburg,
Like Umag and
Bostad, yeah.
like places like that. Yeah. He picked up a title last year before the Olympics, right? He beat Musetti in the final there. So
Yeah, and Bostad as well. 2 years ago, 2 years
yeah,
ago.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe three.
So yeah, I don't hate that theory. At least Buenos Aires, we know that he feels a lot of pressure at, even if he actually made the final twice already.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.